I believe there was this preacher who went to visit a church, and he thought he gave one of his best sermons. And after giving the sermon for about 1 hour, he came and stood by the door and was greeting everyone. And there was the small girl who came up to him towards the end, and as she shook his hand, a few coins into it. The pastor was surprised. He looked at her and said, "Little girl, why did you give me these coins?" She looked at him and said, "Pastor, my dad said, you're one of the poorest preachers we ever had." So coins are welcome. I'll be standing at the end of the door. There were two young guys who loved hiking, and they decided that they have to climb Mount Everest. And so these guys prayed, and with all the enthusiasm managed to climb Mount Everest. And like all Christians, we go up there but can't come down. So they went up there and got stuck. And one day went by, no one came to help. 2 days went by, no one came to help. They began to panic. It was getting colder and colder, and they knew they won't survive for long. On the third day morning, they heard some noise. Both of them ran out of their tent, and they saw a huge dog coming. It was the St. Bernards. And incidentally, this dog was carrying a bottle of whiskey in it with him. And with the bottle of whiskey, it was running towards them. They were terribly excited. The first guy shouted, "Here comes man's best friend." And to that, his friend said, "Look at the dog bringing it." I believe there were a husband and wife celebrating their 10th wedding anniversary. And like all husbands, the husband went to his wife in the last minute. He's scared to ask this question earlier. He goes up to her and says, "Please tell me, what do you want for the anniversary?" He says, "Take me somewhere expensive." He puts her in a car and drives her to the petrol bunk. We live in a world where time is everything, and we hate standing in queues, but unfortunately we have to. So I believe there was this guy who tried to pay his electricity bill all night. He couldn't. So then he went and stood in a queue, paid his electricity bill. His son wanted to buy tickets for Madagascar. He couldn't book it online, had to go stand in a queue. By now he was getting tired. He tried to book a railway ticket, IRTC down as usual. Had to go stand in a queue. This guy came to his friends and said, "Queue, queue, queue, everywhere there's queue. I'm going to go and kill the mayor of this town and then come back." And in his anger, he went. And after some time, he came back really tired and depressed. They asked him, "Boss, what happened?" He said, "Even there's a queue." No, we live in a world where values have completely changed. And in this process of managing time, in the process of managing work-life balance, if there's one thing we've neglected, it's a family. And people don't neglect their wife. They can't afford to do it. So the people they most neglect are the parents, right? We have time for everything else. In fact, we call ourselves the BlackBerry generation. I like to sing you a song, not as good as Herbert, but I'll try. We are the BlackBerry boys. We are the BlackBerry boys. We love to fly and eat beef fry. But when troubles come, we start to cry. We are the BlackBerry boys. We are the BlackBerry boys. Then my wife called. She wanted to shop. I decided to act. I put my phone off. We are the BlackBerry boys. We are the BlackBerry boys. That night at home, all hell broke loose. Pots and pans flew, and then came a broom. And after that, the song changes. We are the black-eyed boys. We are the black-eyed boys. Could all the men sing with me, please? We are the black-eyed boys. We are the black-eyed boys. So you can't afford to keep your wife away. But in all this, you generally keep your parents away. And I realized that. If you know Chennai, there's this traffic signal between WCC, Women's Christian College, and Ethiraj College. Both pretty women's colleges. And with the Chennai Metro going on, there's a big traffic jam. So my car, there was this traffic jam, and I was standing on this end of the road, And if you know Chennai well, Chennai is surrounded by this beautiful river which we have called the Buckingham Canal. After Jayalalitha came back to power, she changed its name. She called it the Yuckingham Canal. But this is a true incident. My car was here, and it was packed with cars and traffic, and there was this young guy on a motorbike without a helmet because it's a girls' college, so he didn't want to wear a helmet, and he was doing this to his hair. And from the side of the road, I saw this old lady, not very old, she must be around 60, well-built. She was carrying a plastic bag full of garbage, and she came to the edge of the pavement, and with the precision of a hammer thrower, she swung it like this and sent it flying. It just went over my car, and it was heading to the Buckingham Canal. And believe me, it landed perfectly in the Buckingham Canal. But on the way, it sent a few vegetables on this guy's head. This guy, he had the audacity to get up from the bike, and he shouted at her. He said, "Idu veeda roda?" And she looked at him, "Dey maramanda, veedu road tanda," she said. She said, "My house is on the road." And then, because she felt bad at what she said, she looked at a few of us who were close to her and said, "This is what my son has done. He's left me on the road. He got married and chased me out of the house." And I took out a 10 rupee to give it to her. She said, "No, I don't want it. I'm selling flowers and I'm happy. But I just wanted to tell you why my outburst came." I believe there was this old man, a widow and a widow, who were dating each other. They were about 70 odd, close to 80, and they were dating each other. And this man decided to propose to her after a long time. So he went to her and proposed to her. And she said yes. And he was very happy. He went to bed. But the next morning when he woke up, he forgot whether she said yes or no. So he couldn't keep the suspense, the poor old man. He called her up and said, "Rose, is that you?" She said, "Yes." "I just called up to check whether you said yes or no." He said, "Thank God you called, because I remember saying yes to someone. I didn't know who it was." I believe there was this another elderly gentleman who was going for memory treatment. And he came back to his even elder friend and said, "This clinic is excellent. They treat you so well that you get all your memory back." So naturally, this other friend asked him, "What is the name of the clinic?" And he went blank. And he was terribly embarrassed. And suddenly his face brightened. He said, "You know that flower with lot of thorns and that beautiful pink, green, red flower?" His friend looked at him and said, "A rose?" He said, "Yeah, a rose." He turned to his wife and said, "Rose, what's the name of the clinic?" Elderly people lose memory at some point of time. And if we want to tell our parents that we love and care for them, we better do it now before it's too late. I think it was a couple of months that I had traveled a lot, and I hadn't seen my parents for a long time, maybe about a month and a half. And I went back and I saw them after a month and a half. And to me, it looked like they've aged about 10 years. And then it really hit me as to how important it is to visit our parents and tell them that we love them. Wouldn't it be great if we could do that this evening? Maybe when we go back, go and visit them or give them a phone call, tell them that we love them. That's my message this evening. Thank you.